What is up, legends? So today in this video, I'm going to run you through how we take everyday Aussies from feeling flat, sore, and lacking motivation to being energized, strong, and healthy dads. So let's get straight into it. Now, I want to be really clear on who this isn't for. So this is not for someone who is spread really thin. Now, an example of this is like you're doing jiu-jitsu twice a week and then you're going to a run club 3 times a week and then you want to get into friggin' rock climbing and then you want, like, for example, anyone who's like wanting to do all these different sports and who isn't really wanting to focus like on a particular discipline and they want to be spread really thin across all things. There is nothing wrong with that option and doing that. It's just not what this is for, okay? And also, this is not for someone who is looking for a short-term fix. Now, I want to reiterate that. This is not short-term stuff. We're thinking long-term, how do we change your life forever and give you a plan or something that you can stick to long-term so that you can have long-term benefits, all right? Not an 8-week challenge, not of this Bob's boot camp kind of stuff, like actual proper lifestyle changes, okay? So to get a bit more specific on who this is for, okay? So this is for someone who is sick of being in pain. So if you've got knee pain, shoulder pain, any body pain, you wake up in the morning feeling stiff, like whatever that is, this is for you, okay? We're going to try and show you how you can get out of pain and what we do with our clients and how we make them get out of pain in a very short period of time. This is for someone who's also looking for a lifestyle change. So you're not happy with how your lifestyle is or the way you're living your life at the moment, and you want to change and you want a better outcome, okay? This is for you. So the third thing, this is for someone who's feeling bored. Like, I fell into this category back in the day. I was doing the gym, I got really bored of lifting weights, and so I looked for another thing. So if you have tried classes, you tried CrossFit, you tried all these things, and you're really bored with the standard way of training, then this is for you. And then finally, this is for you if you've struggled to get results. Now, maybe you've gotten results for a short period of time, like an 8-week challenge, and then, all the results that you got, you put them back on, or you lost your strength, or you fell out of routine at the end of that. This is for someone who is wanting results forever, not just a quick fix again. It's like, this is how you get the result you want, and this is how you maintain it long term. Okay. So just to give you a bit of a breakdown on me and who I am so that you can understand that, like, who the hell is this guy just talking about, changing lives and what has he got to kind of prove that. So I used to be a professional athlete. So I used to play soccer back in the day, football if you're overseas. And so I lived in Europe. I was pursuing a dream from 16 to 21. I was, bouncing around clubs trying to figure out, like, how to become a pro, essentially. And I kind of cracked it, but I kind of didn't. And, that's pretty much where I started to know that, all right, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. I'm not good enough, really. That's the reality of it. And I started to enjoy the other style or the other stuff that we were learning there. So, like, we were doing stuff in the gym. We were strength training. So I started, like, getting into, what you could kind of call, like, the personal training side or the strength and conditioning side of what we were learning, okay? And so that was where I started to, like, see another path from what I was doing. And then when I came back to Australia, I moved back to Melbourne, I became a trainer. And it was just a natural thing for me to kind of fall into. It was really, like, it felt seamless. I already, like, when I was learning this stuff, I freaking, like, picked it up really quick. It felt very natural to me. And so I became a trainer and I was mostly teaching weights. And so this part of the story is important because it's where I realized that, like, lifting weights isn't for everyone, and it definitely wasn't for me. I got very bored of it very quickly. I reckon I lasted about 6 months training that way, and I was like, man, I am fucking over this. So from there, I started to expand my awareness. I was looking for other options, and that led me to yoga. Now, the reason I was attracted to yoga in the first place is because I was watching these absolute legends on Instagram doing handstands and cool, like, arm balancing movements and some really impressive feats of strength. And I was like, that is it. That is what I want. And so I became a yoga teacher over a period of 3 to 6 months. And over that time, as I got further and further into the yoga style of practice, I adopted all the things. I became a vegetarian and a vegan at one point. I was meditating a lot, and I wasn't really liking the style of physique that I had and how I looked and how I felt in my body, because I was becoming very floppy. Now, I'm a stiff guy as that is, so that wouldn't have been floppy in comparison to some other people, but for me, I felt like I was losing my oomph. And I was like, okay, yoga's cool, and I learnt handstands and I did this cool stuff, but the practice itself feels like it was missing something for me. And so that's where I moved into calisthenics. Now, calisthenics really ticked all the boxes. I was getting mobile, I was getting strong, I was, not neglecting areas of my body like pulling movements that you neglect in yoga. And I started to really feel a change. And also with that, I went back to eating meat and I became essentially a carnivore. And so that definitely probably had something to do with feeling like I had a bit more oomph. And I felt like calisthenics was the thing. I was like, this is it, And my goals at the time were learning skills, getting strong, looking lean and trying to feel confident in my body, which they all achieved. And I pursued that, and I still pursue that now for my own personal training. And so where that's led me to today is State of Motion. Now, this one caught me off guard, I won't lie. I thought I was going to train, people like me, people who weren't dads yet, who were really active kind of people that were looking to get into calisthenics and to get the benefits that I got from it. And I was looking at the younger age group, so 25 to 30 kind of area, maybe even younger, 22 to 28 kind of zone. And as I started getting into actual proper business and marketing online and getting some clients with my business, I realized that the people that actually benefited the most, or that would benefit the most from this style of training, was dads. And the reasons for that is you're getting mobility and you're getting range and you're getting strong in your mobility and your range. And that allows you to live a better quality of life with your kids, because dads have really good motivators. They're like my kids. So come back a second. There's a moment, I'm not a dad yet, but I'm soon hopefully going to be. And there's a moment when a man becomes a dad where they feel the responsibility outside of themselves. So it's okay, I've got this little thing, this version of me, this mini human that I need to provide for. I need to get my shit in order. And getting my shit in order looks like making sure I'm healthy, making sure that I'm going to be around for a long time. Quality of life and longevity of life becomes very important. Whereas before, because you're just thinking about yourself, it doesn't actually have that. It isn't a priority for you at that moment, right? And so having a really good motivator and then pairing it with a style of training that ticks all the boxes in that regard, it was an aha moment for me. I was like, dads need to learn calisthenics. One, because it's going to fit their lifestyle and they can actually do it. And two, it's the perfect thing for them. And so that's how we've got to this point now, State of Motion. Now, you're probably thinking, in a second, I've stuffed it. I missed a slide. Now, the style of coaching that we teach at State of Motion, I'm going to compare to how I used to do things when I was working in the gym, right? So there's the old way versus the new way. So in-person personal training is what most of this stuff gets compared to, all right? Now, when I was training in person, this is not just my numbers, this is a generalized numbers of what personal trainers charge and how it works. So anywhere from $90 to $150 per hour is a bit of a standard in Australia, okay? And that's per hour for just standing with me as I coach you through a session. Now, the sessions would usually go for 60 minutes, and that's one-on-one, okay? With that price, you would not get a program. Now, as I got better towards the end, I started doing programs, but they were pretty basic, to be honest. It was a piece of paper that I would give you. And all of the coaches that I ever connected with in Melbourne and around Australia never really did proper programs. Okay, so for that cost, you wouldn't get a program. Then if you were actually serious and you wanted to get, good results, you would want to hit 3 sessions a week, right? And if on the lower end of the scale, you're hitting 1 session a week. So anywhere from 1 to 3 sessions a week is what people would typically do. Now, that's pretty much from a bracket of $90 a week to a $450 per week is what an in-person personal trainer would cost you, okay? And to throw on the end of that, there was no guarantees. It's like if you showed up and did the work and it didn't actually work for you and you didn't get the result you're happy with, too bad, sucked in sort of thing. No guarantees, none of that spoke about, no contracts. It was just like a friggin' the Wild West, right? Winging it. And this is what I used to be like. And it was the past, but I'm kind of semi-ashamed of what I used to offer, to be honest. Now, the new way, what online and what this new style of coaching is like, all right? So with the online version, it's anywhere from $100 to $150 a week, right? If you did my coaching or other people's, that's typically where it floats between. Some are higher, some are lower, but you get the gist. Now, that would come with a 30-minute coaching call per week, right? Comes with a tailored training plan, so it has your whole week of training scheduled in. It has a tailored meal plan, your whole week of food scheduled in, unlimited text and video support on the, paired with the 30-minute call each week, so it's a separate thing. It's like, imagine infinity touch points per week, right? You can text, you can video, you can voice note. There's unlimited support throughout the week. Whereas if you compare that to the in-person, you might see the trainer once or twice in that week, and that's your only touch point with them. But online, there's as many as you want. And also, especially with my program, but not all, but generally more with the online stuff, is guaranteed results. So if you did all the things, if you followed all the food, all the training, all the stuff, you would get a result, and if you didn't, you get your money back, okay? So why does this matter? You're probably thinking, all right, Jack, you've gone into a lot of detail, let's go with it, all right? So the online model focuses on everything. Now, I'll go into the diagram in a sec, and you get a pretty clear understanding of what I'm trying to get at here, but this is a story. So when I was training people in person, I had a big calendar of clients. I was training, dads, grandmas, women, kids, a whole mix, right? And when I transitioned my business online during COVID, because gym shut down, had to pivot on the spot, I transitioned my business online, and the thing that caught me off guard that I didn't expect was that no one knew what to do. And I'm talking my clients, okay? So I was like, cool, here's the program, here's the things, this is what we've been doing together in person. It should be easy for you to transition. But none of them knew what the exercises were called. They didn't know, how often they should be training. They didn't, really understand any of the stuff that we'd been working on. And this was a really big shock to me because some of these people I'd trained for 4 years, right? And so what I realized from that is because they would come to me in person and I would do the training session with them, they would go into autopilot mode. They'd be like, oh, yep, cool. I'm with Jack now. I'm in his hands. He's just going to tell me what to do. I don't have to think. I don't have to learn. I'm just going to go through the motions. And then at the end, hopefully spit myself out and I've, got a result. And, some people did get results. Some people didn't. It was really 50-50 whether you were going to, but they just kept showing up and doing the sessions with me anyway. And it's, that's the reality of what it was. Nowadays, right, with my online stuff and with actually taking care of everything, people get way better results. And so when we look at this graph, right, an in-person session is 10% of all the stuff you need to do to get a result with your training and your health. Now, the other 90% is made up of food, sleep, stress management, programming, routine, family life, work. There's so many things that you need to be on top of to actually get a good result. And so with my in-person business, I just wasn't really taking care of or helping people in the areas that had the biggest opportunity to give them the result in the first place, right? And so now, with the online model, we focus on the 90% that gives you the outcome rather than the 10%, which is the in-person stuff, okay? And because we do it this way now, we get way better results. And it's guaranteed every time if you do the work. Obviously, you have to do the work, okay? So, changing tone a little bit. What are the things that you need to focus on, and how do we do it? So, this is like what you can take from this, okay? So, I call them the healthy dad pillars. Now, you've got 3 pillars, main pillars for getting yourself into a healthy dad mode, let's call it. You've got your mindset, you've got training, and you've got nutrition, okay? So under mindset, it's like goals, vision, belief. And I'm going to go into these deeper in a second. Training, it's like a tailored approach, a tailored program, something that's achievable and something you can stick to long term, okay? Nutrition, it's like making sure it's flexible and that it suits your family, right? It's enjoyable, so it's not like you're eating chalk every day and you're hating your life. And it has to be focused around getting you a result. It's not just eating for fun. It's not just giving you a meal plan because, it sounds fancy. It's like this thing, if you stick to it, will give you the outcome you want. And it's proven, okay? So let's break it down a little bit. Mindset, right? There's supposed to be a little person there. I don't know why it's not showing up, but imagine there's a shell of a person on the left under now. Or you can just imagine there's an invisible version of yourself, right? So with your mindset, right, everything that equates to you, where you are, this current position, comes back to the way that you feel about yourself, see yourself, or the beliefs that you have, okay? So let's take that as you now, your current belief system. For you to become your best version, healthy dad, or whatever you want to call that, you need to change the way you see yourself and the way you believe about yourself, your beliefs. So all these systems that govern the way that you live your life, okay? Because the current ones that you have are keeping you where you are, and you need to change them to become the person you want to be. If you don't change them, you can't become this new version of yourself. I want to make that clear. There's no one out there in the world who has these restrictive beliefs of themselves that all of a sudden just achieves all their goals without changing their beliefs. It's just not the case, okay? So how we do this at State of Motion is getting really clear on the vision of yourself. You can call that goal setting or whatever. I like to call it vision because I like to imagine myself in the future and who I want to become, okay? Now, this is you, right? Maybe you want to be a dad that's a good role model for your kids, that's, healthy, fit, lean, not like bodybuilder jacked or anything, but you just look lean, you look healthy, and you've got lots of energy to do the activities that you want to do. Now, if you just take a moment and try and envision that version of yourself, like, what does that actually look like? And it might be easier to write down all the things that equate to that vision, but if you can properly see who that version of yourself is, it's so much easier to get there. And then you start acting in accordance to that version of yourself. So it's like, all right, if I want to be that dude, he acts this way, he does these things, I need to start doing those things so that I can become that version. And I need to not do these other things that are keeping me where I am now. Hopefully that makes sense. So changing your mindset and becoming this new version of yourself is like killing the old version of you and moving towards this best version, this healthy dad, okay? So that's mindset, and we break it down in a lot more detail in the program, but that gives you a general gist of what we're trying to do. Training. So training is a little bit more simple and logistical, right? It's like how we help and what we do is we need to make sure that the program is 100% tailored to you, the person, the client, the dad, okay? Now, if I gave you my program, it probably wouldn't work very well because maybe it's too hard. Maybe they're too long. Maybe the sessions are too frequent. It doesn't actually suit your routine, that style of stuff. So the program that you get needs to be exactly tailored to your life, whether that's, you're training in the morning for 30 minutes, whether you're training at nighttime for 60 minutes, like whatever your routine allows and how the cadence is going to work best for you, that needs to be really tailored to you specifically, okay? Now, that could look like generally where we start most people with our program is 4 days a week, anywhere between 30 to 60 minute sessions. And so that's like 2 upper body days and 2 lower body days. So like 2 legs and 2 upper body. And that can change though. It could be 6 days a week at 15 minutes, could be 3 days a week in 90 minutes. Like, it really depends on what suits you, but that's generally where we start most people, and then we try and change it from there. So like maybe the 4 days a week cadence doesn't work, so we go to 3. Maybe 3 is not enough, so we go to 5. Like, we really, you have to try and trial and error with it a little bit to see what sticks the best. Okay. Now, why this works so well for dads is because it's body weight and rings training, which means it's versatile. You can do this at home. You can do this whenever you want. Like, you don't have to go to a gym, like drive to a gym, spend time there listening to shit music or whatever, waiting for exercise machines, blah, 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 then drive back, have a shower. It's like, cool, I've got 30 minutes, kids are down, I'm going to go train out the back on the rings, train, 30 minutes done, come in, shower, have dinner, go to bed, or whatever the routine kind of looks like for you. Now, we make sure that it's like something that you can do at any time, anywhere, because if there's less friction and it's easier for you to get started, then you tend to do it. Okay. Now, the other thing, I'm just going to play this video so you can see as well, like how it kind of looks, is video feedback. So when you're training, right, I've fallen victim to this, and all my clients do. They're like, oh yeah, man, nailed that exercise. It was literally perfect. I'm like, cool, man, just send me the video so I can see, and then I can advance you and make it harder, or I can tweak things so we can progress your program. And then when they send the video, it's like not perfect, like very far from perfect, to the point where we need to actually regress them to make sure that it's more achievable for them. So filming and video feedback is a huge part of the reason why our clients are really successful, because in that process, when they're actually watching themselves back, they start to see, hey, I actually don't look how it doesn't actually look how it feels. So like, it might feel good, but it looks bad. I know that I need to change that now. And through that process, they actually start to teach themselves how to train long term with our guidance, if that makes sense. So that's training. Now, nutrition. This is our little nutrition meal plan thing. It's like a bit of a starting point and a direction. Now, we tailor and customize everything for the person, so we don't always stick to this 100%, but I'm going to leave this in the links below so that you can have a look, and you can also just try it yourself. But the things that we break down in the meal plan and why it's so effective is food timing. So not everyone is the same, but if you're really clear on what times you need to eat foods, it takes the thinking out of it for you. So you're like, cool, 12 o'clock hit, I need to have lunch. 4 o'clock's hit, I need to have a second lunch. Whatever that is, right? But being really precise on the food timing gives you a nice thing to stick to, like a cadence to look towards, okay? Food choices. Now, certain foods work better at certain times of the day. I don't want to go into too much detail on this. It's actually in the document. But yeah, we make sure that you're having certain foods at certain times so that you have optimized energy, that you aren't like crashing, and that you don't affect your sleep. It always circles around energy, right? So if the choices you're making with your food or the timing is affecting your energy, then you need to like change and tweak things. But it's all in the document if you want to have a look. Sleep routine is in there. Sleep is friggin' important. Like, can't emphasize that enough. It is super important. Morning routine, also just another one. The morning, like, whether you like morning routines or not, they're a really good thing to set yourself up. Like, it doesn't have to be a 2-hour morning routine where you friggin' meditate, journal, and do all this friggin' stuff. But if you have a really nice and consistent thing to stick to, it can kind of get you in the zone for the day. All right. I use mine every day, and it helps me always kind of snap into gear instead of like, feeling lethargic or dragging like yesterday's problems into today, if that makes sense. We go through supplements as well. Supplements are another like 5% thing that you can add on to your training. If you're not doing your food, your training, and your sleep and all that stuff correctly, supplements aren't going to save you. But if you are doing those things correctly, then it can really help enhance your practice. And then on the last page, we've got a lot of examples of foods to give you guidance and direction towards like what you need to do. So if you want to check that out, check that out. So I don't want you to just take my word for, the results that we get. This is just one of many clients that have come through our program, Steve. Steve is an absolute G. And so Steve went from feeling depressed to feeling like a new man. And like, I don't want to say that lightly, because when he started, it was like a really, really difficult time for him. And so coming into the program gave him some direction, and he moved forward really well, and he stuck to it. He's been consistent, and he's been able to reap the benefits because of it. Now, he's got 2 daughters that are under 10. He's a single parent working full time. It's not like he's got all the time in the world to like dial in his training and his food, but we customized everything for him and made sure it was achievable. And, you know, he's gone from having shoulder pain in his body, like a bit overweight, to now doing like muscle ups and feeling strong as fuck. Excuse my French. Johan, absolute legend. He was working full-time and freelancing, so he was trying to start his own thing on the side, so he was like absolutely slammed with hours of work. And he's got 2 kids, you know, he was like working at home, he was juggling a lot of things. So we still managed to figure it out for him. He stuck to it consistently for 4 months because it was achievable and manageable, and he ended up dropping 5 kilos. Now, he didn't have a lot of weight to lose in the first place, so 5 kilos was quite a lot for him. And then we started to work towards building muscle. Now, the biggest thing that he took, and you can watch his interview, and I'm going to show you where all these testimonials are in a second, but the biggest thing he got from it was now he knows how to finally keep training himself long term. Like, he's not with us currently, but he's still doing this stuff, rinse and repeating, and getting the benefits from it. John Cena, absolute legend. So John was seemingly active when he started with this, but he wasn't getting the results he was happy with, right? He had consistent sore back. He couldn't shift this really stubborn belly fat. And there was just a couple of things that he wasn't really doing because he hadn't had guidance and hadn't really had a program or direction before. And so we just like revamped, like, well, not overnight, we slowly revamped his whole life and started changing some of the beliefs that he had around things. And as his beliefs started to shift, everything started to change. And it was really cool because he isn't the typical guy that's like, you know, super strong and like who picked this stuff up really quick, but he's so dedicated and consistent that he ended up like getting really strong and learning some cool movements because he just didn't give up. Like, that was a really big thing that was cool with John, is like, you know, he felt like he was out of his depth, but he didn't give up anyway. And because of that, he's killing it now. If you listen to his interview, he said it's safe to say that the program has been life-changing for me, which is really cool. So if you want to suss out more of these videos, I've got heaps on the website, and they're all dads, Aussie dads, probably similar to you in similar situations, who have had a really good outcome with the program. So go in there, suss it out, have a look at them all, and yeah. So we're getting towards the end. Now, there's a lot of information there, but it's obviously not tailored to you. So if you want to become strong, pain-free, energized, and be the dad that you want to be in the next 16 weeks, find me on Instagram and send me a message. Now, my Instagram handle is jackturner.som. So I live in the DMs. I'm on Instagram all the time. That's the best place to get me. Just send me a message and we can get in contact to see if you're a good fit for the program and if this is going to be the best thing suited for you. I don't take everyone on. This isn't like a greedy, like, you know, I want you to be my client and be my client sort of thing. If this really isn't suited for you, but you think it might be, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to be like, hey, look, this isn't the program for you. Like, I can point you in the right direction, but maybe let's start somewhere different. But if it is truly the thing that you feel like you want to do and it is a good fit, then we can work together. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. You're an absolute legend. And if you don't want to go ahead and jump into the program, at least give me a follow on Instagram or on YouTube so you can watch more of these videos. I'm going to be posting more of this stuff, and so I will see you in the future.